Imagine finding out your girlfriend is involved with another man while she's sitting right next to you. That's exactly what happened to Eric. One moment he thought they were in a stable relationship, the next he was staring at messages that made him question whether he knew her at all. And she had no idea he'd seen them. So there he is, phone in hand, heart pounding, trying to act normal while reading messages between his girlfriend and one of her co-workers. One message in particular hit him like a truck. His girlfriend telling this other man that she missed him constantly, couldn't stop thinking about him, and wished things had gone differently. At that point, you're not wondering if something happened, you're wondering how much happened. And that's where this story gets unhinged. Because Eric didn't snoop and go through her phone. The messages had been sent to him by another woman entirely, the worker's girlfriend. Apparently she'd discovered what was going on and decided that if her relationship was blowing up, everyone deserved to know the truth. So now he's sitting there with screenshots in front of him, just trying to process everything. Eventually, he couldn't keep pretending, and I don't think anyone could. He showed her the messages. And according to Eric, the moment she realized what he was looking at, everything changed. There was no denial or excuses like you might expect. Instead, she admitted something had happened. According to her, she'd kissed the co-worker, just once. And you know exactly what happened next. Questions, and lots of them. Because once someone admits to crossing a line, you immediately start to wonder what else they've done. According to her, there was context to the whole thing, because a few months earlier they had gone through the loss of a pregnancy. She described feeling overwhelmed and emotionally lost afterwards. And instead of leaning on her boyfriend, she started opening up to this co-worker. At first there was conversation, then emotional support, and then eventually feelings started forming where they never should have. And honestly, grief can make people do things they normally wouldn't. People don't always cope well. They don't always make good decisions. But at the same time, understanding why something happened isn't the same as excusing it. Because no matter what she was going through, the messages still existed. She still chose to keep talking to this guy and then kiss him. And she never told Eric any of it. And the more he thought about it, the less certain he became. Not about whether she'd crossed a line. That part was obvious. What he couldn't stop thinking about was whether he actually knew the full story. Because here's the problem. When someone comes to you and tells you the truth, you may not like what you hear, but at least you know they are choosing honesty. When someone only admits something after they're caught, that's a completely different situation. Because now you're left wondering if you're hearing the whole truth. And that's exactly where Eric's mind went. He found himself replaying everything. At one point, Eric even thought about confronting the co-worker directly. Not because he thought it would fix anything, but because he wanted an outlet for his anger. Thankfully, he never acted on that. Because realistically, even if the co-worker told him everything, what would it change? In the end, the relationship didn't survive, because the real issue became uncertainty. And once those questions take root, they can be impossible to get rid of. Personally, that's the part of the story that sticks with me. Not because I think people can't make terrible decisions while dealing with grief. They absolutely can. But because she never came forward herself. He didn't find out because she sat him down and told him the truth. He found out because somebody else exposed it. And that's what would make rebuilding trust almost impossible for me. Because she obviously didn't feel guilty enough to talk to him about it. And I don't think he's wrong for questioning whether there was more to the story. I think most people probably would. But at the same time, I think there's a point where chasing answers stops being helpful. Sometimes people convince themselves that they just need to find out exactly what happened and then they'll be able to move on. But more often than not, all it does is keep you attached to that betrayal long after the relationship is over. So what do you think? If you were in his position, would you need to know every single detail before walking away? Or once you knew enough to know the trust was broken, would that be enough? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening to this episode of Quietly Unhinged. If you like that, why not give us a follow? And I'll catch you in the next one.